Hello ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to my channel for another Threezero Transformers DLX scale figure unboxing and review. Today we're taking a look at the Transformers Rise of the Beasts Optimus Prime. Now I got mine as a review sample direct from Threezero. I have popped the link to their site in the description below, but as always, all opinions are 100% my own. I have not been asked to only say good things. If you are heading down there, why not hit that subscribe, bell notification icon, and join button, so you're notified as soon as a brand new Threezero Transformers figure review goes live on the channel. As for the box art, this is such a vibe. Threezero, they always nail it with their Transformers boxes. They almost go intentionally busy. We've got logos absolutely everywhere. We've got an image of the figure himself front and center, some embers and some effects up top, as well as the jungle scene in the background with a sneaky little hidden Autobot logo. On the side of the box, we do have more of the jungle scene wrapping over the edge from the front cover, as well as another image of the figure himself that blends into this almost wireframe-looking schematic drawing down below. And then around the back, we've got some more product shots, this time showcasing his various accessories, as well as this claw mark in the background. That's very reminiscent of Beast Wars, which is perfect for Transformers Rise of the Beasts. Down below, we've got some warnings and legal info. You can flip open this top cover, it's held in place with Velcro, to reveal another image of Optimus, as well as an open window showcasing the figure inside. This is technically not my first time looking at the DLX scale Rise of the Beasts Optimus. When I was in Hong Kong, I interviewed Kenneth at Threezero's offices, and we took an early look at a production sample. The number one takeaway for me back then was just how different this guy is to the Bumblebee Prime. Initially, I thought it was going to be a light retool with a bit of a repaint. Turns out, I was completely wrong. This guy is almost entirely new. What we are going to do now, though, is get all of his accessories laid out in the light box and take a closer look at everything he comes with. Starting off with the display base first. Kudos to Threezero for keeping their base design consistent. No matter which DLX figure you have, they all come with the exact same style of display base. So if you stack them up alongside one another in the collection, all of the bases are going to match. It's quite low profile, so it's not going to add a ton of height to him, and there's all of this Cybertronian sculpted detail on the surface. Around the front, we have a Threezero logo and Transformers Rise of the Beasts in blue this time, so it'll tie in with Optimus's color scheme. And we've got this multi-jointed, segmented, ratcheted flight pole arm. The bottom part you can adjust forward and back, then lock in position with this little clamp. The top part can come out, and then when you push the clip, it'll go right back down. This part can also be adjusted, but you have to remove it, then push it back in and lock it in place. I think we can all agree that the G1 style ion blaster that came with B-Movie Prime is bloody beautiful. There's no denying it, it's a G1 callback, and I'm so here for it. However, just based on the sheer accessory and weapon count alone, I think I have to give the win to Rise of the Beast Prime. We get 2 blades, 2 energon axes, and twin arm cannons. The little pops of metallic blue and then the smoked translucent orange edge makes these blades pop. There's also some oil stain wash over the top in the form of this speckling, and the edges are genuinely sharp, so when you're trying to install these into Prime's forearms, do be careful where you're grabbing it. Don't grab the tip, nor this part, nor the serrated edge. Maybe hold it from around here or down below, then you can install it. The axes are painted in the exact same way as the swords. So we've got that smoked translucent orange edge for the energon part, silver with the brown speckling to mimic oil stain, the metallic blue, gunmetal for the main body, and some silver dry brushing. Now, something that is going to maybe be a little bit controversial is that they also include a gripping hand for Bumblebee that's meant to be used with one of Prime's weapons. I personally like when companies reward you for collecting a line by including accessories for older figures with new ones. Some people don't like that, and they think that a figure should come with everything possible and not anything else, especially not with an unrelated figure. I think that it's related enough. You get Prime's axe, you get Bee's hand, now you can combine the two. Another controversial choice by the studio this time, not Threezero, is giving Optimus Prime his Michael Bay style mouth. Don't forget, there's an entire generation of Transformers fans that grew up with the Michael Bay films. So the mouth plate may not necessarily be their iconic look for Optimus. At least you do have both options. I will show you what he looks like wearing his arm cannon a little bit later. You do get two of them, by the way. You can rotate the front piece, it's got a light up effect, and you don't need to disassemble anything to attach these. They literally just slot on with a very secure mechanism. And lastly, we get a full array of hands, ranging from these relaxed open palm hands. The sculpt work on these is impeccable. Got the little linkages in between the fingers, the grill detail, and the paint applications making them look like actual metal is second to none. There's scratching on the surface and even this little bit of detail work. Then we get two gripping hands for the Energon axes perhaps, two splayed out finger open palm hands, one two-finger pointing hand, and two closed fists already installed on him out of the box. What we are going to do now though is get Optimus Prime himself out here, standing straight up and down in the light box, no crazy poses or accessories or anything like that. Wow. I mean, Threezero, they continue to kill it with their Transformers figures. The engineering, paint applications, diecast content, yeah, love all of that. But the look is what gets me. I mean, dude literally comes across as though he's a CGI model just rotating around in front of us. The accuracy here is off the charts good. What makes that even more insane is there's not a single visible joint or screw jumping out at me anywhere on him. How they achieved that? No idea. Up close and personal, kicking things off with Optimus Prime's head sculpt. We will switch out the mouth plate for the mouth in just a second. I love the way this looks. It's the perfect fusion between G1 and live action. And yes, it is similar to the Bumblebee movie head design, but slightly tweaked at the same time. The eyes are bigger, they're also detailed, even with the LEDs turned on, you can see all that sculpt work. The mouth plate has these intricate little lines on the surface, and there is weathering absolutely everywhere. We've got washers in the crevices, and some silver dry brushing just on the high spots to make it look like Optimus Prime has been knocked around a little. A lot of people were very unhappy that Optimus had his Michael Bay style mouth back in Rise of the Beasts. I felt the same way at first, but then I saw the movie, and something about this design almost looking a little bit like Peter Cullen, it won me over. So much so that dude's gonna be rocking the mouth in my display. I don't even care. Bumblebee movie Prime, he can have the mouth plate on. I want this guy to stand out, and giving him this mouthpiece is definitely going to help him do that. If you do want to switch on or off the LEDs, it's super straightforward. You don't have to disassemble anything, there are no screws, you literally just push his head crest and you can turn the LEDs on. Oh, and the head sculpt does take the much larger LR44 batteries, so they're going to last significantly longer than any of the button cell powered battery light up packs that Hot Toys gives us in Iron Man figures, for example. Now, around the back, this does look similar to the Bumblebee movie Prime with the circles and the spinal column detail, but slightly different. You've got weathering, chipping, dry brushing, this speckling of dirt and grime, and an oil stain wash in the crevices to bring out the sculpt work. He does still retain the gimmick where if you crunch him forward, all of this extra spinal column detail is revealed. I'm going to try not to say silver chipping and weathering too much. Sometimes it is just genuinely the best way to describe what's going on though, so we'll see how I go. The windows this time are translucent, and you can see some sculpted detail behind them. The chest panel is removable, but I don't think it's meant to be displayed like this, because now you can see some visible peg ports and some screws. It's more so just a little neat gimmick in case you want to see the matrix chamber behind the windows a little bit better. Got these silver eyebrows up top above the windows, they're new, and so too is this entire ab section, including this grille with the Autobot logo smack bang in the middle. Mirage does make a joke in the movie about Prime having new abs, and he actually does, so Mirage was spot on. Got some pistons on the sides, and these little details that do remind me of Dark of the Moon Prime. I think that's what they were going for. They were trying to blend in the Michael Bay look with the Bumblebee movie design. For me, it was pretty successful. All of the little callbacks, such as the mouth, these eyebrows, and the abs, that stuff gets a tick. I don't think it's too in your face, and it still looks quite G1 at the same time. The smokestacks are actually articulated, but they're very clean. I would have liked to have seen a touch of black just airbrushed on the top to mimic soot that would have been coming out of the smokestacks. You can do that yourself. I just don't think that we should have to. Threezero, a little bit of black paint wouldn't have gone astray. We do have some Autobot logos on his shoulders, and these pieces are also articulated. There is a lot of die cast in here, by the way. For those wondering how much of these DLX figures is metal, when you pick this guy up out of the box, you will feel every ounce of that metal because this dude is extremely heavy. This time they have changed the yellow arrows to white, which does mean they blend in a little bit better. I still like the yellow because that's a G1 toy callback, but at the end of the day, they're still here, and I think they work for this particular design, done in white rather than the yellow. Another thing that's back for Rise of the Beasts is he's got the Revenge of the Fallen style blades that plug in just above his hands. And the piece that they connect to is articulated, so you can move the blade inwards so it sits a little bit closer to his fists. The blades themselves are massive. They're serrated down below, cast in this translucent orange smoky looking plastic, and you do get two of them, one for either side. While we're here, we may as well discuss how you install his dual arm cannons / ion blasters. It is a bit fiddly to do on camera, so I'll explain it, then I'll do a snap transition and the arm cannon will be installed. So the first thing you want to do is remove his hand, and then you want to connect up the hand ball joint to that part right there. Then the peg will slot into the same connector we just used for his sword. Going with 2 points of connection rather than one just means that this is on there very securely. You could pick up the entire figure just by this arm cannon, and it wouldn't fall off. That's how secure this is. The design is pretty busy with all of these plates and panels that now sit over the forearm. It bulks his forearm out a lot. It does, however, genuinely look like the blaster has formed out of his arm. You've got gunmetal, bright silver, and red with tons of washes, dry brushing, and dirt on the surface. The front part can rotate, but I would suggest being very careful of this spike because it is made out of thin plastic and it's quite prickly. The arm blasters do have a light up effect, and to turn them on, you simply push the barrel. There are 2 modes. The first is just on, then the second is a soft pulsating effect. I like the idea of the pulsating effect, but for me, I'm probably just going to have them turned on or off. Coming down to his legs, everything from his hip skirts right down to his toes, brand new molds. Speaking of the hip skirts, I like to keep them flat, but if you want to angle them like Bumblebee Movie Prime, you absolutely can. They are on multiple ball joints, mainly so that they can get out of the way of the legs for articulation, but as a byproduct, now they're also adjustable. Same thing with the side pieces, and the ones around the back as well. Technically, they are meant to key in, you can see how they're notched out, but you can just entirely ignore that and have them free floating if you so choose. Now around the back, this panel is removable so that you can attach Prime to his articulated flight pole. I honestly do like the way Threezero does this because, as you just saw, the tolerances are very tight. When you plug this piece in, if you weren't looking for it, you probably wouldn't even be able to tell that this panel was removable. One of my least favorite things about the Age of Extinction onwards bot designs was that we started to lose a lot of the visible car and truck parts. With Rise of the Beast Prime, it's all here on full display. We've got the tail lights for his knee pads, a design choice that I didn't like at first, now I do. Some visible wiring harnesses and pistons and linkages and springs, and some of them have been picked out, like this spring down below in the inside of his leg in red paint. All of the surfaces that are supposed to be shiny are metallic, but there's this layer of grime over the top to give it some more texture and visual interest. Like I said, all of this stuff, brand new molds. And he's significantly chunkier as compared to B-Movie Prime. Even these frickin' boxes are brand new. The tires are made of rubber, they can rotate, and there are washers in the tread so that they look nice and worn and old. The feet do have some sculpt work underneath, they're painted in gunmetal, and there's even some weathering on them. For a quick side-by-side comparison, on the left, Rise of the Beasts Optimus, and on the right, the B-movie version, who, I know, I've already referenced a lot throughout the course of this video. Most people are more than likely only going to get one Prime, and the B-movie look is super classic, so I thought it was worth pointing out the differences. Now that we have them standing together, I hope all the stuff that I mentioned earlier is now even more obvious. They share some design similarities, but they're also drastically different, especially when it comes to proportions. Everything with Rise of the Beasts is just more exaggerated. Some will like that, and some won't. Whichever one you go with, though, I don't think you're going to be disappointed. Next up, Rise of the Beasts Bumblebee. The scaling to me looks about right. B is significantly shorter than Optimus. Honestly, these two look sick standing together, and seeing this just makes me even more excited for Primal, Scourge, Mirage, but I still hope that we will eventually get an RC from this movie. I guess only time will tell. Here we have the Bumblebee movie version of, well, Bumblebee in his VW bug mode. He is also significantly shorter than Optimus. If you decide to skip the B-movie Optimus and go with this pairing instead, I reckon this actually works. And finally, Optimus next to Optimus. This is his vehicle mode from Rise of the Beasts by Jada Toys, and surprisingly, the scale is pretty accurate. I compared the tires on his legs to the ones on the diecast truck, and they're almost bang on. This is how I choose to represent both modes in my display. High-end, die-cast versions of each of them. I do see a lot of comments saying, if only he transformed, he'd be perfect. I couldn't disagree more for multiple reasons. Number one, in the films, in bot mode, they're all dirty and weathered. But in vehicle mode, they're pristine and clean and brand new looking. So that already makes the transforming figure inaccurate. Then number two, there are panel lines where there just shouldn't be, like on car roofs and hoods, for example. When you have a transforming gimmick, that stuff is unavoidable. So yeah, while I love my transforming figures as much as the next guy, I think these are more accurate, higher-end representations of both looks. If you don't agree with me though, totally fine. I, at the very least, hope my reasons make sense. Going over Optimus's articulation, this is the segment of these Transformers reviews that I dread the most, because there are so many little intricate parts and pieces that can move to allow for maximum range of motion. I'm bound to miss something. If I do, just let me know down in the comments below, I suppose. Starting off with his head sculpt, it's on a ball joint, and the neck is articulated. Looking forward to there, looking up to there, swivel, and tons of pivot side to side. His smokestacks can move, and his shoulder pads can as well. I would suggest moving this stuff out of the way before you pose the arms, just to avoid paint rub. The arms will go up to there on multiple different joints, going forward and back. There's a butterfly joint at the shoulder that also hinges up and down. Swivel at the bicep, double bend at the elbow going past 90, and then for the wrist peg, it's a double ball peg. I always love this part the most. The torso crunches forward an insane amount to there. And it's not all kinds of gappy back here. His spinal column is revealed as we access those two joints. He also pivots side to side and swivels. These hip skirt pieces can and should be moved out of the way so you can avoid scratching anything while you're moving the legs. They can drop down on ratchet joints, going forward to there, going out to there, swivel at the upper thigh, double bend at the knee, and look how many little parts and pieces move to give you an insane range of motion, going past 90. And then for the ankles, I don't even know what's up inside of there, but they move a ton. These pieces around the back even get out of the way. The feet will go forward and back, they will swivel, you get ankle tilt, plus toe articulation. Wrapping up on Threezero's DLX scale Rise of the Beasts Optimus Prime. When I first saw this design, I really didn't like it. In fact, I hated it. I was thinking, what the hell? What's going on? They've added the eyebrows on the chest back. We've got the Michael Bay mouth. They've ditched the yellow arrows on the forearms, and the abs section is very skinny, which throws off the proportions. Then I had a little bit more time to think about it. I saw the movie a few times, in fact. And now it turns out that this is one of my favourite looks for Optimus. It's that blend between Michael Bay and Travis Knight. Some people aren't going to like that, and I totally get it. But let's just put the design aside and talk about the figure from a pure engineering/manufacturing perspective. The engineering on display here is insane. The way that joints move and have little bits and pieces that slide out of the way for maximum range of motion, it just blows my mind that Threezero are able to do that with the tolerances being as tight as they are. Everything is smooth, everything is functional. Then we get to the paint applications. The amount of weathering and dirt and grime and wear and tear on this guy just makes him look like he's kicked some serious Decepticon ass, which is exactly how Optimus Prime should look. He also comes with a ton of accessories. You get the axes plus a hand for B, some people won't like that, I do, the Energon swords, and the twin arm cannons, with LED light-up effects, which are just a nice touch. If you don't turn them on, the arm cannons look just as good with the LEDs turned off. The only thing that I would like to see going forward with the DLX line would be less reliance on LEDs, for the head sculpts specifically. Because, let's be honest, you're not going to walk into your collection room, touch every single bot on the head to turn the LEDs on, then stand back and admire your figures. Adding in a secondary head sculpt or faceplate option with painted eyes would be a perfect solution for those that don't want to rely on button cell batteries. Just food for thought, Threezero. Everything else, I'm on board with. This figure is so close to being perfect, it's not even funny. Now, I got mine as a review sample from Threezero, but this is a proper review. All opinions have been 100% my own. It just turns out that this figure is fantastic, so I didn't have a ton of bad stuff to say about him. I have popped the link to Threezero's website in the description below. While you're down there, why not hit that subscribe, bell notification icon, and join button, if you like the sound of seeing your name in the end credits of my reviews. Like, comment, and subscribe. We'll catch you in the next video.